Good morning, everyone. I am Lynette James, the Senior Director of Sponsorships and Exhibits for the International Franchise Association. I'm so happy you all were able to join us this morning for the demo of the Intrado virtual platform, which we'll be using for our 2021 annual convention. I know some of you on the webinar this morning have already confirmed your participation as an exhibitor, and others are waiting to learn more about the system to make their decision. And I think the information that will be shared here will be helpful to both of those groups. I do want to let you know that this will be a very high level review of the platform. Our final IFA annual convention look and feel might be and probably will be different than what you will see here. However, the functionalities and the capabilities will be the same. So I encourage you to focus less on the layout of the lobby, the layout of the hall at this time, and just focus on the capabilities of the system. We have Stephanie Murphy from Intrado who will be walking us through this demo today. Please remember this is being recorded. So if at any time you have to leave the recording, or if you have colleagues that were not able to attend today, we will be posting this for you all to watch again as many times as needed at your convenience. And so I think we will get started. You will be able to chat questions to me. Stephanie will go through the exhibitor experience, some of the sponsorship branding and that experience. And then at the end, we'll have about 10 minutes to take questions and answers from the question box. So Stephanie, I'll let you take it away.
All right, thank you, Lynette. Good morning, everybody. As Lynette said, my name is Stephanie Murphy, and I am a project manager for Intrado Digital Media, and I'm going to be leading this event for IFA. We're very excited about it. What I'm going to do here, and what you're looking at on your screen, is a demo event, and I'm going to walk you through the attendee experience for one of these events. And we're going to go through all of these different spaces, talk about some of the different advertising opportunities here. I'm going to walk you through a couple different exhibit hall booths and talk about some other features of the platform and get started. So what you're looking at right now is a lobby for an event. So what you can see here, it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got some hotspots that will take you to different places in the event. There's a welcome video. The thing that's most relevant to those of you who are on the call today is this space right here, which is a banner advertisement that is rotatable. Now, depending on what the final design is going to look like for this event, we might have multiple banners in the lobby. We might be using one that is these dimensions or slightly different dimensions. However, this is how it works. Please note that these are clickable and can either go out to an external link or to a space within the environment. In this particular event, they're actually going to, one is going to the theater and one is going to the networking lounge. So I'll click on that and show you how it works. Takes you right into the lounge. I would like to point out that as a best practice, we try to avoid having these click out to external links too much, just so that attendees can stay in the event. However, that's something that I will let the IFA team make the final decision on. So moving forward, we're going to look at an exhibit hall, which also has a couple different opportunities for branding. So we've got two big banners here on either side. There are a couple different designs for exhibit halls, and after speaking with the IFA team yesterday, it looks like we're probably going to have multiple exhibit halls for this event. So a couple of them might look a little bit different, and as such, the advertising specs will be a little different as well. These are also clickable and can be linked out either to a booth within one of the exhibit halls or to an external link if that's something that IFA decides to do. There's also the option for either an image or a video here. I'm not 100% certain if that's something that IFA would like to, if IFA would like to use this space as advertising space or not, but it's potentially something that can also be clicked out. And what you can see down here are 3 different exhibit hall booths. This particular event is for demonstration purposes, so they're a little bit small, I realize, and they're kind of clustered to the center here. We would expect more exhibit booths in this hall, and we probably expect them to be a little bit bigger too for the event in February. But we do have logos for each of these exhibitors listed here. If I click on one of them, it will take me into their booth. So a few things to note about the booth. What you're looking at here is an image up front. This can be either just a 2D piece of branded content, so some extra advertising space, or if your booth is going to promote maybe a specific product or service, this is a good place to add some additional information on it. The logo for your organization would be over here on the left. And this booth is equipped with a few different features. So the first one is an external web page. If I click on that, it will take me into the website. This can either open within the environment or within a new tab. I would recommend testing these ahead of time, and that's part of our process as well. Every once in a while, a website will have some security features that will prevent it from opening within Intrato's platform, in which case we just troubleshoot it by having it open in a new tab so that attendees are not taken out of the environment. There's a chat feature here. If I click on that, it will take me into a group chat room where staffers can interact with attendees. They can keep track of these conversations, and they also have the option to engage in a private chat with attendees if they so choose. Down here, we've got some documents and links included in here. Actually, oh, good, I did put some in here. So you have the option of including external links or documents about your organization. There's a limit of up to 99 in the platform. I'd have to look at your sponsorship packages to double check and make sure how many we're allowing in here. And there is a contact us page, which is another external web page. So good, let me see if we've got another one here. Go back into the exhibit hall. We've got some different features here. This one includes a message board if it's something that you'd like to include where you can have threaded conversations on different topics. This particular booth does not have a chat feature. There's an About Us section where they can include information about their organization. And there's also the option for a scrolling marquee message up here in the top, which would be ongoing throughout the event. It is not something that is editable during the live days. However, if you have specific hours where your booth is going to be staffed and you know those ahead of time, it's a really nice way to make attendees aware of this. Up here, you can also see who is in the booth and who's staffed in the booth. Obviously, I am the only guest in the booth right now because this is not a real event. But I put in some staffers as well. If I wanted to interact with any of these people, all I would do is click on this person's little silhouette, and it would bring up their user profile. I actually might not have one built up because this is not a real user, but we'll go over that again in a minute. So in terms of, let me see if there's anything new in the Marketo booth that I haven't gone over yet. Oh, we do have a video collection. I forgot all about it. So if I click on this tab that says demonstration video, it will bring up a video collection. You can have an unlimited number of videos in the collection here. The limit for this is 500 megabytes. This is a great way to have some video content as well. The other opportunity for video content in a booth is right here in the front screen image. So I said earlier that this could be used just as an additional piece of advertising, which it can, but there's also the option to put a small video in this space as well. The size limit for this small video is a little bit smaller. It's 10 megabytes. So, you know, short and sweet is the preferable option here, but it will autoplay upon the first visit in the booth. Upon subsequent visits, there will be a replay button here, so it won't go away for attendees, but it won't automatically come up every time an attendee or maybe one of your staffers who has to continuously go in and out of the booth has to go in. This booth also has a survey included where they can actually get some information both about products, about attendees who come in. These survey results can either be made public or private, and they will be made available to you after the event is completed. Okay, and the theater. So there is one additional place for branded content over here in the theater, which is this banner down here. Just like the ones in the lobby in the expo hall, this can be clickable and can link out either to an external web page or to your booth in the exhibit hall, depending on how you'd like to use it. And this is rotatable as well. We can put up to 15 different pieces of content in this one field. Great. So the lounge. The lounge is a social space in the event. It's where attendees can interact with one another. In general, this tends to be used for sort of very social or light networking purposes. You see a lot of, you know, hello from Dallas, hello from Phoenix kind of a thing. There are 3 different places for advertising here in the lounge. The option that IFA has included, I need to look at my notes. We've got a couple different options for the lounges. So the specs of these advertising spaces might be a little bit different, but all of our lounge options have 3 advertising banners. They are clickable and they can be rotated with up to 15 different ads. And interact. So I did hear that we were planning on doing a trivia games in this event. So in this particular event, the trivia game is in a drop-down menu from the navigation bar. So if I click on that, it'll open up the trivia game. In just a minute, there we go. And I can go ahead and play. If I click on play, there is a time bonus and a score. I am not doing well in this. And you can also have the option for a leaderboard over here on the right side where you can look at the top scores for the trivia game. Also, I'm told that we're planning on including badges in this event. So this demo event has only 3 badges, but we can include up to 25 badges, I want to say, in the event. So a couple things to note here. Each badge has a particular thumbnail image that's associated with it. We have some stock badge thumbnails that Intrado can provide if it's something that you'd like to include. Or we can also give the dimensions if you'd like to build out your own image for this. So it's really sort of aesthetically up to what IFA would like to do and how they would like to limit that. But there is a lot of option for customization visually with any of these badge images. Over here on the right, you can see qualifications for each of these badges. So we've built out one for completing a profile, for saving documents in your virtual briefcase, and for attending a certain number of sessions. Probably most applicable to those of you on the phone, we can also include a badge that tracks space visits and chat participation. So if you're planning on having a badge that's maybe part of your package, we can make one that is customized to visiting your booth and engaging in the chat as well. I don't know if we're planning on, I don't think we're doing any sponsored presentations, but that would be an option as well. So over here, you've got a big version of this. You can also see all of these different specifications and the leaderboard for them over here. And the overall badge leaderboard would be available down here, and we would list the top 50 point scorers for the badges. This information for badge scoring is also going to be made available to the IFA team after the event is completed. So they'll be able to look and see who earned what badge, etc. And if that's information that is going to be relevant, I'm sure they'll be able to pass that along. Over here, I have an announcement that just popped up, which is pretty good timing. So we've got two different ways of communicating with attendees during the event. The first one that you saw up here is a pop-up announcement that shows up on the right side. This can be linked out to different spaces. So for example, you've got visit the exhibit hall now. If I click on that, it will take me to the exhibit hall and disappear. I don't have a character limit on these announcements, but I would recommend keeping them short and sweet. It is a lot of text, and they don't go away unless you click to either close them or click out to the environment that they're linked to. The other place where we can communicate with attendees is down here in a scrolling marquee message. These can also be timed for specific windows throughout the day, and can also link out. So if I have don't forget to update your profile, it's going to take me into my user profile. That's a great segue. What you're looking at here is a user profile. So this is a way for attendees to provide information about themselves, about their organization, where they're from, etc. I haven't had a chance to discuss with IFA yet what information they specifically want to include in these user profiles. However, a lot of it is private. So even if I were to enter in all of this information here about my address, it does not mean that attendees would be able to see my home address when they log into the event. From here, I can also communicate with other attendees in the event by clicking on the Communication Center. I can send an in-event email. I can have a one-to-one chat, which can also turn into a one-to-one video chat later on. So this is for those of you who will be staffing booths in the exhibit hall, this is a great opportunity to connect with attendees. And I can also exchange a V card or virtual business card, which I'm going to go ahead and view it. Will show my name, my company, and my job title and my email address. So for those of you who will be networking both within the lounge or within your booths, this is a great way to keep track of who you've networked with, to exchange information, make sure they have it. And you can also take any V cards that you have collected and export them into a spreadsheet so that you don't have to continuously go into the event after the live days are over to see who you exchanged a card with. This can all be downloaded so that you can access it on your hard drive. Over here is a virtual briefcase. So for those of you who were watching when I went into the exhibit hall and showed the documents and links that are included, attendees have two different options, and I can actually go back in here and show you. So if I go into the Autodesk booth here and I go to documents and links, you'll see over here on the right side that I have the option to open, save, or share the documents. If I want to open it, I would click open and it'll open up that PDF in a new tab. If I want to save it, I would click on save and I would get a notification over here on the right side that the document or link has been successfully added to my briefcase. So if I go back into that user profile and click on my virtual briefcase, I will see a list of any of those documents that I decided to include. So this is something that I can access later. I can either view them within the event, I can share them with somebody else by emailing them or copying a link, or I can download it so that I can access it later on my hard drive while I'm not in the event anymore. These are also available in the Resource Center. So if I click on Resources over here, what you will see is the Resource Center, and we're thinking about calling it something different for this event. We had a conversation about it yesterday. It might be Exhibitor Library or just Library, so you can probably expect the title of this to change. But any documents that were included in the exhibit hall will also be included over here in the Resource Center. They'll automatically populate and they can be filtered based on subject. They can be filtered based on type of document, and they can be filtered based on organization, by title, whether or not they're recommended. We don't really have a lot of documents in here, so you're not seeing a ton of them. But if I go in here and I say I want to look at all of VMware's documents, I can go into filter select that as an option, and that will filter it down for me. We also have the option to rate or write comments on these documents as well, which can be a good way to start a conversation about them too. Couple more things about the booths here. So I'm going to go back into the exhibit hall, and what you'll notice up here is a search function. And this can take you to two different spaces in the event. So for those of you who are planning on building out booths, this is a great way to drive some traffic to your booth. So if I've got, let me see if I look at VMware, let me look at what some of their search terms are, and I'll even let everybody see behind the curtain a little bit. So I'm in VMware's booth over here. This is what the space builder view is going to look like for those of you who are planning on building out booths. And I can look and see what search words I included: VMware Cloud, virtualization, software, services. Great. So I'm going to go in here and search for services. And the first option that's going to come up is VMware because that's included. So, and we do have an option of, let me double check so I can stay honest. 1,000 characters can be used for search words to drive traffic to your booth. As a best practice, I recommend using as much of this space that's available to you as possible to drive as much traffic there as possible as well. You can also create some search words for your documents that you plan on including. So for example, I've got Queen's University case study over here. I've given it a subject category as well as a category of type. And I can also put in a description here and put in some content tags. And I think I can include up to 25 different content tags. So if for some reason I wanted to look this up, I could also look it up by case study within the event search function, and that would be available in the search results. Great. So for those of you who are planning on uploading resources, we can include spreadsheets, we can include docs. I would recommend, if it's something that you're planning on sharing, just as a best practice, sharing it as a PDF so that it can't be edited. However, that's certainly up to you and the options are flexible. But that's a great way to interact with people within the booth. So if I go back, switch browsers again, go back into the lounge, and I want to chat with somebody. This chat feature in the lounge works very much the same way that the chat feature in the booth does. I can look at the number of attendees here. I can expand the window. Sorry, I can look at the number of attendees here and see who is in the chat. If I want to interact with somebody who's in the chat, I would just click on their name. Obviously, I can't chat with myself. However, there is another account that I've used, which is a system user. But if I click on here, that will bring up my profile. If I were somebody other than me, I could engage in a one-on-one chat with myself by clicking here. I could send myself an email within the event, or I could exchange a virtual business card. So if you're planning on staffing a booth within the event, or spending some time in the networking lounge so that you can interact with different attendees, you are at any time welcome to click on their name and try to turn this maybe into a more personalized one-on-one networking conversation, and sort of deepen the connection that you're making with somebody. Great, and so post-event data. All of Entrato's events include a data portal, which is a way to get information and metrics about the event after it's completed. It is technically populated in real time. However, I will let the IFA team make the final call on when they would like everybody to have access to the data portal, and I don't want to speak out of turn. But it can be accessed with a link. I can show this over here. Here we go. It will look a little something like this. This one isn't built out in a very pretty way because this isn't a real event, but it will have some descriptions on here, and you'll be able to enter the data portal. Those of you who are staffing a booth will be able to enter it using the same credentials that you use to enter the event. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into it from a system user view here, give everybody a nice view behind the curtain, and I'll launch the data portal. So this is the system user view of the data portal. It's a lot more extensive than what's going to be available to sponsors and exhibitors after the event's over, but I can impersonate one of our sponsor users. There we go. And we've got some different reports that are available in the data portal. So for those of you who are on this call, this is going to be a lot closer to what you end up seeing. I haven't quite confirmed with IFA exactly what data we're going to include, but every organization has a different privacy policy. However, in general, the information that we can provide is anybody who's visited a booth, anybody who's visited your booth, I should say, what their activity looked like when they visited, so what tabs they clicked on, and which will include the tab they clicked on, the space name, the user's company name, and the username. Any documents or links that they have accessed. So I went ahead and added that document to my briefcase, and we've got a recording of this over here. And any mail activities. So if I were a staffer in the booth, this would record anybody who I exchanged mail with within the event so that I could follow up with them later. It would include any notes that I took on those conversations as well as any V-card activities. So any cards that I sent or received. And all of these reports are downloadable as a CSV file, an XML or an XLS. I always do it as a CSV, I think it's cleaner. And they're printable as well. We can also include data on any ads that were clicked on. However, I do believe that that report on ads that were clicked on is only for ads that will take attendees into a different space. So if you're planning on having your ad go out to an external link, I don't believe we can include data on that. So that's something to bear in mind moving forward. And I am under my 5-minute warning, but I think I've covered everything that we need. So I will go ahead and open it up for questions. I'll bring the lobby back up here just in case we need to go through anything. So Lynette, if I'll go ahead and pass it along to you.
Great, thanks so much, Stephanie. That's a lot of information, a lot of great information, and we're getting a lot of really good questions. Before I dive in, just want to remind you all that this has been recorded, so you'll definitely be able to go back and view and catch anything that you may have missed. Okay, so Stephanie, the first question I'm seeing here is, when you click on a person's name who is staffed in the exhibit booth, will that send a direct chat to that person? How would that come through? Email, chat through the platform, etc.
That's a great question. So if I were to click on somebody's name here, nope, exhibit hall is what I want. And if these individuals were online, which they obviously aren't right now, it's not going to automatically start a private chat with them. It's going to bring up their user profile so I can look at a little bit more information on this individual before I start a private chat. So if I click on Joe Chavone's profile here, it'll bring up his profile first. And then from here, I have the option to engage in a one-on-one chat, send him a message within the platform, or exchange a virtual business card. So there's one extra step in there just so that you can do a little bit of extra homework first before interacting with somebody.
Okay, thank you. I was having a little bit of trouble with my mute button. Next question, is there a time limit on the video in the exhibitor area?
There is not a time limit. There is a size limit. So there ends up being a bit of a de facto time limit just based on the size. But if you're planning on including a welcome video here that's going to autoplay upon first visit to the booth, the limit on this is 10 megabytes. So that's going to be pretty short. And if you're planning on including something in a video collection in the booth, the limit's going to be 500 megabytes, so you have a little bit more wiggle room in terms of length.
Thank you. Hi, Stephanie. Are prizes awarded as part of the trivia? And I may be able to help here too, but you can go ahead and give best practice.
It would certainly be up to you, Lynette. If you're planning on including prizes as part of the trivia, I would just recommend keeping track of what those scores are and being clear about either what the prize is going to be or what the top scores are if you're planning on doing multiple prizes for specific levels. The trivia is not scored in like a 9 out of 10 way because there's a time bonus on it. But it is scored, if I go back in here, by points. So right now my score is 2,145. It seems a bit arbitrary. So I would just say if you're planning on doing this by level, just make sure that you're specific about what those numbers are. And if you've got some questions about best practices, what's a good score, what's a bad score, I can give some guidelines on that too moving forward.
Right, and IFA, just to answer that question from our perspective, we will be implementing some gamification into our event and offering prizes for trivia that we will be offering. Next question, who would be seeking out badges? Attendees, what do they get for having them? And I think we covered this a little bit, but Stephanie, feel free to reiterate.
Sure, it would definitely be attendees. Lynette, there's actually no way for us to restrict badges just to attendees. So if there are people who are staffing booths and then want to go for badges while they're not in their booth and they're exploring the event, they're certainly welcome to. But in terms of prizes, and Lynette, this is something that you and I might end up taking offline at some point. There tends to be a lot of people who end up getting the same high score. So I would recommend that if you have a lot of people with the same high score, that you use a drawing amongst the people who have that high score, just to avoid any hurt feelings or confusion or that kind of thing. But I will say that the badges tend to be very, very competitive. It surprises me in every single live event. People get really into the badges and people get really into getting on the leaderboard.
We will definitely take that into consideration. Thank you.
Sure.
Let's see. Would it be possible to see metrics on visits, engagement, interactions from other virtual events on this platform with anonymity, of course?
So we do have some numbers that came out for 2020 as we're looking at the end of the quarter right now. I can go ahead and pass that along to you, Lynette, if there's something that you think will be useful. Mm-hmm. But that's something I can send to you in an email, and if you want to kind of sift through it and see what's going to be most applicable, that would work.
Sure, thank you. Sure. When you are in the lounge, can you private chat with any attendee in there?
Yes, you absolutely can. So if I go into the lounge here, I will see different profile pictures here. If I were a real attendee, I probably would have uploaded a profile or added an avatar. I can look at the list and expand it here, and it works just like the chat in the booth. All I would have to do is click on the name. It would bring up the profile, and then I have the option of interacting with somebody.
Great. When and where will the 30 and 60-second commercials appear? And I can say that with the sponsorship packages, we are planning for those to be in and around our general sessions. So knowing that, Stephanie, can you take them back to that room and where they would expect to see those 60 seconds, 30 and 60-second commercials associated with our general sessions?
Sure. So I can't show you a complete preview of this right now,
Right.
because we don't actually have any presentations in here. These are all just blank shells for the demo. However, if you go into the theater, you can look at the different presentations that are listed in tracks here. If I wanted to access the presentation, I would click on this button here. It would bring up a new window, and then I believe we're planning on having those advertisements spliced in before the presentations. So you would go here first, open up the webcasting console, and then it would show up.
Okay. Any way to do a live video or audio conversation in the booth or just chat?
It would have to just be in the chat. It would be in a one-on-one chat.
So in the exhibit booth, I think what they're asking is, would they be able to have a one-on-one video chat with someone who was in their booth?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And then, will there be a limit on number of staffers a company can have? This may take a little more manpower than a normal convention. That's for sure. So Stephanie, I know that you and I talked about, I think it was a max of 50 on the back end. I don't think that anyone would need that many. But I think the question here is really getting at the number of people who can have access to that back end so that they can facilitate these one-on-one exchanges with attendees and just have access to all of the items and information that's built into the booth.
Yes, so 50 is still the limit. It's the number of people that we can staff for each one of the booths.
Great. Can you summarize the ways exhibitors can proactively engage with attendees?
Sure. So if I go back here into the exhibit hall, this one doesn't have a chat. I'm going to go into one that has a chat. There we go. So as a best practice, for those of you who are going to be building out a booth, your view will be very similar to this. The only thing that's going to be different is that there will be an additional little icon over here on the right side. It'll be a person wearing a little headset. If you click on that, it will take you into the booth dashboard. The booth dashboard includes a list of everybody who is currently in your booth. It includes another view of this chat that's open here on the attendee view, and it also includes a representative chat that's only visible to people who are currently staffed in your booth and online. As a best practice, and this is something that we'll go through a little bit closer to the live day as well, I would recommend, if you've got multiple people who are working in your booth, assigning one person as a greeter, somebody who says hello to individuals who enter the booth or people who start chats, saying, let me know if you have questions, and then using that greeter as somebody who can delegate who takes what question. And so it might be based on just who's free or who has appropriate expertise. But in my experience, that's really the best way to get things moving forward. Just having somebody who is kind of the central hub and make sure that that all questions get answered in a timely manner.
Great. And as I'm looking through these questions, I just want those on the call to know, if I do not end up having time to get all these questions answered, I will be able to capture these questions and get back to you individually, so no worries there. What fields will we be receiving when we pull the lead list? I think Stephanie had mentioned that that's going to be up to IFA. And my initial thought is that you should expect to receive the same information that you would receive in the attendee list that we share with you all for those who opt in to have their information shared. So that would be my answer to that question. Do all booths look the same for certain package levels, or can we customize? What is the most common booth for each level? And Stephanie, I think the way we're going to approach this is to allow exhibitors to choose from your layout options so that there's some variety in look and feel. So if you wanted to add any more content to that, feel free.
Sure. So we do have 3 different backgrounds, which you've got, displayed in the different booths. There's also the option to customize colors here. So if you've, I'll actually pull up the space builder here real quick. You can either choose colors based on named colors from a color picker, or if your organization has custom hex values that you'd like to include, you can use those to personalize your booth further. So we've got this available on the right side. It'll change the color of the tabs, and you can also change the color of the marquee messages that will scroll up top.
Okay. Is the lobby view exactly how IFA's experience would look? At the top of the webinar, I mentioned that you should not assume that our event will look like any of these options. I'm sure we'll land on one of them, obviously, because they're the ones we have to choose from. But what you're seeing today is primarily a display of the functionality and capabilities. Once we're all done and our space is final, some of this might look very familiar to you. But at this point, we haven't committed to which layouts we're using just yet. The next question, will IFA implement a limitation for the number of booths in the exhibition area? Great question. I'll start this out and then let Stephanie kind of expand on it. But there are best practices for the number of booths you should have in a trade show. And so I think we're going to have anywhere between 20 and 25 per hall. And Stephanie, you can go into, I guess, a little bit more about how that works and how they would access the various exhibit halls in that respect.
Sure. So part of this is an ongoing discussion that we're having between the Intrado team and IFA's design team. As I mentioned earlier, the exhibit hall is pretty flexible. Anything that's in here is actually a clickable area within the space. So we're not limited to the booths looking like this, or certainly limited to 3 in an exhibit hall. What may end up happening is we'll end up having booths that look completely different than this, where logos can either still be populated or there will be a different option. I know that a big focus for IFA's team is going to be making sure that everything is clear and visible moving forward, so that we don't have ones that get lost in the shuffle. So I can't speak to what exactly they're going to look like. I know that the design options are pretty flexible, and I know that making sure that the appropriate booths are prominently featured is going to be a priority for the design team.
Okay, I'm going to try to fit in 2 more questions before we close. And again, any I don't get to, we will answer for you all individually. What is the code 42 logo on the bottom left? An opportunity to sponsor a marketing agency putting on the presentation, the technology platform, etc. Can you explain what that is, Stephanie?
That's a great question. I forgot to cover this one, so I'm glad somebody asked. This is another opportunity for branded space. I know that I don't think it's included in IFA's packages, although I'd have to take a look. But this can also be a clickable ad, and I think we have an unlimited number of logos that we can include here. So, for those of you who are on the IFA team, it's kind of up to you for how you'd like to use it. However, it can be used either as an ad option that can click out to a booth or an external web page, or it can just be some branding for the event itself. It's up to you how you'd like to use it.
Awesome.
Great question. Thank you.
It is a great question, and thank you for that. Can our marketing director use one login to update all the profiles for our staff attendees?
They cannot. The only way that an attendee profile can be updated is by the attendee themselves, even if you're a staff member or from the same sponsor. You can only get in and update your own profile.
Okay, I'm going to sneak one more question in here before I close. When you're doing the video chats in the booth, is it possible to chat with more than one person, or is it truly just a one-on-one chat?
It is just a one-on-one chat. However, I do need to double check and see what we've included for this. So Lynette, if you don't mind, I'd actually like to put a pin in that question
Sure.
for our next meeting.
Absolutely. And there was a question asked if all of the question and answers can be shared with everyone on the call, and absolutely, I'm happy to do that. I'll create a list of the questions and the answers, because it's true you all might have some of the same questions that need to be answered. But I just want to take this time, as we're at 11:45, to thank Stephanie for this opportunity to introduce us all to the platform and the exhibitor and sponsor experience. I do want to let those of you on the call know that we are planning another webinar after the holidays, which will be a tutorial, a true tutorial in nature, where we will take you step by step through the booth build process. I will be sending to those who have confirmed their booth, I will be sending you instructions on how to get into that builder site before the webinar, with your credentials to get in and start building. That way you can start gathering all of the assets for your booth, play around with it, see if you run into any challenges that you can bring to that webinar as questions. So be on the lookout for information from IFA about when and where. That will be, again, just as this one, it will be recorded and posted for you to view. So if you're not available on the date of the live webinar, do not worry. We will make sure that you have access to the information. So I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of their day today to join us. We appreciate the commitments that have been made thus far. And for those of you who were still on the fence, we hope that you saw something today that will push you over the fence and lead you to joining us at our convention in February. We're excited to be able to offer the Intrado platform, and we'll walk you through whatever is necessary to help you have a successful experience. So thank you all, and have a great holiday and a wonderful afternoon.